Welcome to Live Interactive English. I'm your host, Winnie.
And I'm your other host, Mike.
And today we are continuing Dadaocheng, where history still lives.
It does.
Are you excited?
It's been living there for quite a long time now.
Yeah, it's still living.
It's still living there.
Yes.
Which is wonderful.
I actually want to ask you something.
Okay, go ahead.
Are you a fan of old buildings?
I do like old buildings, yes.
Are you a fan of red bricks?
The red bricks are fine. I prefer them to purple bricks.
Okay. Are you a fan of renting costumes and then pretending like you're in the past so that you can take a photo with your modern iPhone to post on your modern social media that you were in the past?
Honestly?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
But for this, yes.
Woo-hoo!
I love it.
Well,
my favorite thing to do in the whole wide world.
Come on down. You want a trip to Dadaocheng where you can rent some costumes.
No way.
Or not costumes, I guess. Traditional garb.
Okay.
That you can throw on and pretend like you're in the past. And they'll help you take photos.
Okay. Yeah. I might be convinced to do this.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll do it in August. Because traditional clothes are often quite heavy and thick.
Yeah.
But if it's the middle of winter and it's a cold day, I might try that out. The other nice thing is, at least for me, I have no idea what I'll be wearing. Like I can't even imagine the clothes they would have there. So I think it would be just kind of interesting to see what people wore back then.
Yeah. And I think they give you several options too. So, you know, just for all my cosplayers out there.
Okay, that sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And that's something we can do in Dadaocheng?
That is something you can do.
Anyone can do it?
Anyone can go.
Any time of day, any time of year?
Anytime. And this is actually something they encourage. So you can just pay a little money, wear that for the whole day, and you kind of can just like pretend, like escape, you know, 2020s.
Cool.
That's where we're in right now. And you just be like, hey, I want to take a blast to the past.
I'm getting the feeling that you would really like to do this.
Like you said, I would like to do this in the wintertime.
In the wintertime, okay. So we'll go together and we'll make sure we have a really good time when it's not too hot.
Exactly.
Let's find out more about all we're going to be learning about today's article about Dadaocheng, costumes, temples, and so much more.
Yeah.
When my mother-in-law came to visit Taipei, I suggested she explore Dadaocheng to admire the historic buildings and shops first. There, she bought some woven baskets and mini pineapple cakes to take home with her. We later met at the Xiahai City God Temple, which was built in 1859. This temple is famous for Yue Lao, the god of love and marriage, who is believed to help people find love.
All right, so yesterday at the end of our article, we were discussing how Dadaocheng might be a great place if you guys ever have visitors from outside of Taiwan coming here because they would love to visit this place. It's so unique and it's so different from places you'll find in other cities and other countries. And it turns out that the writer of our article had the same idea when they were hosting an out-of-town guest. So let's pick up our story from there.
When my mother-in-law came to visit Taipei, I suggested she explore Dadaocheng to admire the historic buildings and shops first. So we kind of touched on that.
Yeah.
We said, you know, kind of go in order, you know, go from the past all the way, make your way to Taipei 101 or Ximending, right? And of course, to admire something means to respect and enjoy and to kind of appreciate. So, for example, you could say we stopped to admire the view of the lake. That means to really enjoy the view of the lake, to really absorb it. You could also admire a person and think, wow, I really respect this person. So for her, you know, this is another thing that, you know, a little stop on her little Taipei tour.
Yes, it's definitely going to be historic. Historic is talking about things that are important to history. All right, so if they're old, first of all, and second of all, important or notable or something that people value in some kind of way. For example, you can see many historic buildings in the center of Rome. Some of them a few hundred years ago, some of them thousands of years going back to the Roman era, but they're all old and important. Right. So this person's mother-in-law came came to visit. Hello! Here she is in Taiwan for the first time, wandering around Dadaocheng, which is nice. I mean, it's easy to get to.
Yeah.
It's safe. You can do a lot of things there on your own. And just walking around and admiring the interesting and beautiful things, that would be a good way to spend a day. What else did she get up to, this visitor? It says there, she bought some woven baskets and mini pineapple cakes to take home with her. Another very good tip there, Dadaocheng is a great place to buy souvenirs for when your visitors want to bring something home with them.
Yes, exactly. And we have some woven baskets that she purchased. And of course, woven is the past participle to weave something, which means to layer and interlace string or yarn, or in this case, some sticks into a pattern, aka a basket. So for example, you could say, Lena learned how to weave baskets. That is not an easy task.
Let's go over to Hanny and she will weave us some wonderful English knowledge with grammar and vocabulary. And then we'll be back to go to a temple.
I see what you did there.
You like that? I wove that in.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny， 今天要继续跟着作者逛大稻埕。作者提到，当她婆婆来台北探亲时，她建议婆婆先去大稻埕逛一逛，欣赏历史建筑和商店。那她在那里买了一些编织篮和迷你凤梨酥要带回家。好，单字 admire 这个动词表示欣赏、钦佩。Historic 是形容具有历史意义的，或者是历史上著名的。Mike 老师在解释单字时用到 notable N-O-T-A-B-L-E，notable 可以形容著名的、显著的。下一个单字 weave 是动词，表示编织，将什么什么编成。它其实还有编制或编写的意思。好，那 Winnie 老师在解释单字时有提到 yarn，Y-A-R-N， 那这个字可以指纱线、毛线，还有提到 interlace 这个动词。interlace 这个字表示使交织交错。老师还提到编织不是随便乱编哦，得遵循图案。那老师用到 random 这个形容词 R-A-N-D-O-M， 它是形容随机的、任意的。Mike 老师也有提到 handicraft 这个字，就是指手工艺品。好，那这边还有一个重点是 suggest that 主词加上 should 加原形动词，或者是 suggest that 主词加原形动词，这样的句型表示建议某人做某事。例如 My friend suggested that we should book a table in advance， 或者是 that we book a table in advance。 我朋友建议我们先定位。好，那这篇课文中。
All right, thank you, Hanny. Let's continue on with the article. We later met at the Shanghai City God Temple.
The where?
The Shanghai City God Temple.
Thank you.
Which was built in 1859.
It's older than me.
It is.
Just a year or two older than me.
This temple is famous for Yue Lao, the god of love and marriage, who is believed to help people find love. Be right back, guys. I got somewhere to be. Oh no, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. Yeah.
Okay, love and marriage. I hear they go together like a horse and carriage.
I see what you did there.
Old song there.
But yeah, actually, yes. I actually know some people who are like, if they're kind of lonely in the some seasons where they're seeing their besties get married, and they're invited to all these weddings, and they haven't had a date in a few years. Okay, we need to take it back.
Do you want to talk?
No. Anyway. Yeah. So if you maybe want a date, and dating apps are just not working, take a little stop, visit your old friend Yue Lao, and just be like, hey, I've got a list. I'll give you some incense, give you an offering, and maybe you walk out of there with a date.
Well, who knows? I mean, maybe the God will do wonderful things for you, or maybe you'll just be praying for love next to some really handsome guy or some good-looking girl, and the magic will just happen on its own.
Mike, don't get my hopes up.
That is a place to check out, especially maybe around Valentine's Day. That would be the hottest place to meet the hottest singles in town. So definitely people do go to these temples, right? When they need help in love, in business, and in schoolwork. Yeah. And apparently they have one of the loveliest temples down there in Dadaocheng.
It's kind of like a one-stop shop.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, well, let's throw over to Hanny and see what she says.
作者和她婆婆后来在霞海城隍庙会合。这座庙建于1859年，以月老闻名，是掌管爱情和婚姻的神奇，据说能帮助人们找到爱情。那 Winnie 老师这时候有提到香还有贡品，老师说的 incense。INCENSE， 这是指香，尤其是在宗教仪式上焚烧的香。还有提到 offering， 它表示祭品或贡品。那刚刚说到爱情和婚姻 ，Mike 老师想到一首老歌，这个歌词说啊 ，Love and marriage go together like a horse and carriage。爱情和婚姻就像马和马车一样相辅相成，意思是两者密不可分。好，那这句话课文中。
All right, thank you, Hanny. We have learned that Dadaocheng is not just for, groceries and herbs.
No.
You get other
woven
stuff.
baskets, pineapple cakes, and love.
Ooh.
All of which you can carry home in a woven basket.
Oh, that's true.
Carry your new boyfriend or girlfriend home in a
That's a
woven
big basket.
That's a big basket. All right, we're going to find out more about the second part of the article, read through it, then come back to talk about it with you guys.
In addition, you can find over 200 statues there, which makes it the most densely packed temple in Taiwan. Then we visited the Dadaocheng Wharf, which was once a busy port. Now it's a peaceful place to watch the sun go down over the Danshui River. Long ago, Dadaocheng was the area where Japanese and European traders worked. More than a century later, I walk the same streets and think about how Taipei's stories live on in the shops, streets, and people. Every time my family visits, this is where I bring them first. It's the perfect place to experience Taipei's culture and learn about its history.
Okay, we are back. We're still learning more about Dadaocheng, and we've been visiting the Shanghai City God Temple. Is that the one? That's right, okay. Where people go to look for love. And it's not just people, apparently, who are going there to look for love. It says, in addition, you can find over 200 statues there, which makes it the most densely packed temple in Taiwan for statues looking for love. Then it says we visited the Dadaocheng Wharf, which was once a busy port. Okay, well, you hear port, you think of somewhere on the land next to a river or the ocean where boats can tie up. You think of a wharf, you think of the thing that kind of stretches out into the water that kind of provides a parking spot for where the boats can tie up and load and unload. A port will have many wharfs, but the port is the big area. For example, Kaohsiung has the busiest port in Taiwan, and I think it's like top 5 in the world or something, Kaohsiung port. Yeah, pretty busy place.
Well, yeah, because when I think of Dadaocheng, I think trading and ports, which actually kind of go hand in hand because that's kind of where all the goods are.
Okay.
So, continuing on with the article. Now it's a peaceful place to watch the sun go down over the Damshui River.
Nice.
I love it. So it's playing onto that, romance.
Yeah. Let's go over to Hanny, and then we'll be back to finish off article.
作者继续介绍霞海城隍庙，提到可以在那边找到200多尊神像，使它成为全台神像最密集的庙宇。那这边用到一个重点，就是 make 加受词加受词补语，表示使什么成为什么，变成怎么样。make 在这边表示使成为。那受词补语可以用到名词或形容词，我们就造2个例句。The film made him an international star. 那部电影使他成为国际巨星。The film made him famous. 那部电影使他成名。好，那作者接着提到说，之后他们造访大稻埕码头，那里曾是一个繁忙的港口。现在则是欣赏淡水河日落的宁静地方。文中用到单字 port 是名词，表示港、港口或是港市，还有用到 wharf 是指码头。Mike 老师则提到装货卸货，这时候有用到 unload 这个字，在 load 前面加上否定字首 un，unload 就是卸货。好，那这句话课文中。
Thank you, Hanny. And continuing on with the article, long ago, Dadaocheng was the area where Japanese and European traders worked. Wow. So as we've been saying, Dadaocheng is a great place to shop for things that you need. Maybe back in the day, you would need herbs for your medicine or even your, fabric for the clothes that you're making. But let's say you don't really use money. What can you do? You could trade.
Oh, I have
barter,
thing, you have thing. I give you my thing for your thing.
And then A plus B equals C. So a trader is someone who exchanges a service or a good. So maybe you don't have enough cash, or maybe you don't have something that's worthy of the thing you're trying to obtain. So for example, you could say traders traveled from far away to sell goods in the market. Just like at Dadaocheng, a lot of traders from all over the world came to get exotic goods. What you and I might think is an average thing. People from faraway countries, you know, because of climate and things, they don't grow there. It's a good place to get something really special.
That's a really good point. If it's really common there, but not here, if you bring it from there to here, you can probably sell it for a lot of money. That's how the world has worked and business has worked and still does these days. It's just more complicated. But it says, as the article continues, more than a century later, more than 100 years later, remember, Dadaocheng's history goes back to the 1800s, so more than 100 years later, I walk the same streets and think about how Taipei's stories live on in the shops, streets, and people. Dadaocheng is no longer a trading center for Western and local traders. That's all moved on, Geelong, Kaohsiung, other parts of the world. But still, it's a place where you can get in touch with that old history, and the old history is right there under your feet, all around you, in the air, and you can still buy many of the things that people used to trade hundreds of years ago.
Yeah. Continuing on, every time my family visits, this is where I bring them first. Cool. It's the perfect place to experience Taipei's culture and learn about its history. I think that's great because you're not really going to fully appreciate how big of a city, how great of a city Taipei is. Because you might, especially if you're coming from somewhere else, like a different city, you're like, well, yeah, it's a nice city. But you look at Dadaocheng and you're like, whoa, I didn't know basically that was the hub already, the hustle and bustle. And then now you can really appreciate Taipei 101 because you saw the beginning.
Absolutely. All right, we have our What Do You Think question that we will be checking out right after we check in with Hanny one last time.
很久以前，大稻埕是日本与欧洲商人活动的地方。如今，作者走在相同的街道上，思考着台北的故事如何在商店街道跟人们身上延续下去。好，单字 trader 它是指商人或者是经商者。Winnie 老师在解释单字时提到 barter，B-A-R-T-E-R， 那这个动词表示以物易物或者是交换货物的意思。另外，老师有用到 hub 来描述大稻埕的重要性 ，HUB hub 它可以指枢纽或者是活动中心。老师还用到 hustle and bustle 表示喧闹吵杂、熙熙攘攘的意思。作者最后提到，每当家人来访，大稻埕都会是先带他们去的地方，它是体验台北文化和了解它历史的完美地点。这边有一个重点是every time 或者是 each time 用来引导副词子句，这表示每次、每当什么什么时。例如 each time I close my eyes, I think of you. 每当我闭上眼睛，就会想起你。好，这句话课文中。
Okay, our What Do You Think question for today is...
What do you think we can learn from visiting historic places? This is a loaded question.
That is a very good question, and lots of good answers here, no one right answer, so whatever you guys think. I would say historic places could teach us a lot. For example, how far we've come since then, how the world has changed. You know, often you go into a building maybe in Dadaocheng, you're like, oh, it's so small, and people all lived in one room together. You know, you can really appreciate some of the things that we have. But in other ways, you might appreciate some of the things we've lost. Like people all had a community. They weren't, you know, sort of separated in big houses on their phones. They spent more time together. So, you know, the journey that humans have taken as a society and as you know, groups of people living together. It's all there.
I think when you're visiting a new place, I think the fastest way to learn about a culture is to go to the historic places.
Yeah, you could read a book, but just going to the place can give you so much that is very real.
Yes. Well, I, for one, am very appreciative of historic places, and even more so, Dadaocheng. is going to be kind of, it's kind of my new favorite little stop.
I think it's a wonderful place to visit, and it will only get better. So hopefully you guys get a chance to check it out, maybe soon or in the future. And yes, a great place to take visitors if they come to Taiwan.
Well, let's review the article again. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
When my mother-in-law came to visit Taipei, I suggested she explore Dadaocheng to admire the historic buildings and shops first. There, she bought some woven baskets and mini pineapple cakes to take home with her. We later met at the Xiahai City God Temple, which was built in 1859. This temple is famous for Yue Lao, the god of love and marriage, who is believed to help people find love. In addition, you can find over 200 statues there, which makes it the most densely packed temple in Taiwan. Then we visited the Dadaocheng Wharf, which was once a busy port. Now it's a peaceful place to watch the sun go down over the Danshui River. Long ago, Dadaocheng was the area where Japanese and European traders worked. More than a century later, I walk the same streets and think about how Taipei's stories live on in the shops, streets, and people. Every time my family visits, this is where I bring them first. It's the perfect place to experience Taipei's culture and learn about its history.
最后，我们来复习今天课文里的单字文法。单字的部分有 admire 动词表示欣赏、钦佩 ；historic 是形容具有历史意义的、历史上著名的 ；weave 是动词表示编织、将什么什么编成。再看到 port 是名词表示港、港口或港市 ；trader 表示商人或者是经商者。文法的部分，我们第一个学到 suggest that。主词加上 should 加原形动词，或者是 that 主词加原形动词，这样的句型表示建议某人做某事。第二个学到 make 加受词加受词补语，表示使点点点成为变成怎么样。make 在这边表示使成为，受词补语可以用到名词或形容词。第三个学到 every time 或者是 each time 用来引导副词子句，表示每次每当什么什么的时候。好，那以上是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
Hey, 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 it's KiWi on the street. I'm Kiki.
And I'm Winnie.
And we are at the zoo.
And today we are going to dive into the world of amphibians and reptiles. Tiles.
But what exactly is the difference?
Let's go and find out. And here we have an example of an amphibian, the red-eyed tree frog. And an amphibian is a type of cold-blooded animal that can live in land and water. Now, what's special about these animals is they have a lot of moisture on their skin. There's a layer of mucus that surrounds them, and it helps them breathe.
Reptiles are basically animals with scales and a backbone. So snakes, lizards, turtles, and crocodiles. Another cool thing about reptiles is what they do with their skin. We can see a perfect example here. This snake here is molting, which means they need to shed their skin. And when they shed their skin, they're letting the old skin fall off and letting the new skin grow out.
Today, we learned about the differences between amphibians and reptiles.
So next time, you'll know how to differentiate the difference between the two animals when you're talking about them.
That's all we have for today. Remember to follow us on Instagram, DM us, or email us if there's something you want to say in English, but you just don't know how. Anything you want to say, Kiki?
I'm actually scared of amphibians and reptiles.
KiWi later.